Hey, boys and girls. So the reason you didn't get the link, James, and the reason that you couldn't find me, Scott, is because you guys just can't keep up. You got to keep up.
Yeah.
Things are going pretty fast here in my brain, and I would like you guys to make an effort to keep up.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Thank you. Okay. So.
Good morning, Jefferson Spatchcock, and everybody else that's here with us.
And Skywork 600 and Command Cyborg, and who else is with us today? Wooly Ignat's probably here somewhere. Lori Hayes.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
Did we lose Scott? What happened to Scott?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he went back to that other stream where he was trying to find me. I'm not sure. Oh, there he is.
Right.
Scott is back. You're back.
My Chrome is just dying on me randomly. So,
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt the flow.
I think your metaphor was bad soil, right? You plant a good seed in bad soil, but bad seed is also a problem. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think Yahweh planted a lot of bad seeds. Okay, Scott.
Right.
Let's talk about your books.
All right, I'm putting these in the private chat so that that we can get them in the description. But I've always been fascinated by the topic of propaganda, and I ran across a YouTube video last night on the Politics and Prose channel, and if you don't at least check in with Politics and Prose to hear from various authors about different topics, you're really doing yourself a disservice, I believe. Last night they had an author named Naomi Oreskes. Previously, she and a co-author wrote Merchants of Doubt, How a Handful of Scientists Obscured the Truth on Issues from Tobacco Smoke to Global Warming, which I just bought that and put it on, through Kindle because that's a fascinating topic. And then last night they were talking about their newest book that they did together called The Big Myth: How American Business Taught Us to Loathe Government and Love the Free Market. So it's another thing about how corporations in collusion with various politicians and parties have just invented this idea of the magic, almost godlike, the market, and had just kind of scrubbed out of history those instances where the government and business kind of worked together, or business was enabled by government action to do things. So at any rate, whether you are a subscriber to libertarianism or other political positions that subscribe to the all-powerful market, or maybe you're a progressive who loathes all that free market talk. Not that you're against competition, but the notion that government should stay out of everything is what is behind a lot of our troubles today. If you subscribe to that, either way, these are ideas I think to wrestle with. And so I got The Big Myth on my Audible so I could listen to it. And, when I'm driving or just sitting around trying to avoid watching too much TV or whatever. So check that stuff out. I think it will challenge you. And if you are interested in the nature of propaganda, then I think that's one avenue you can pursue to get a better understanding of how groups of people outside of our sphere of knowledge and awareness manipulate not only what we do, but how we think. End of speech.
Okay. I got a problem with your. Could you read that title again? Merchants of Doubt: How a Handful of Cyan is where you ended.
Scientists obscured the truth on issues from tobacco smoke to global warming. Merchants of Doubt is the main title. The rest is the subtitle. How a handful of scientists obscured the truth on issues from tobacco smoke to global warming. Because remember, there were medical doctors and scientists saying, "Oh, tobacco is good for you," and things. And of course, global warming. We know what kind of science denial is going on about global warming.
Yeah, and my son was telling me yesterday about tetraethyl lead, and tetraethyl lead. Yeah, what they put in gasoline up until like about 1980, I think, or 1990, and how much lead it put into the environment. Dr. Joel Duff works on that a little bit. Those kinds of poisoning. So that was another place where we were told, "Oh, this is fine, perfectly safe," and it turns out there was all kinds of correlations between cancer, crime, and lowering IQs in certain areas based on the amount of lead in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, fuck, I lived through all that. It was
and I also wanted to warn everybody, because of the problems I've been having with Chrome. Well, actually, I think I will try to look at YouTube through Firefox. So never mind. I was just gonna leave only Restream open, but I think I'll try Firefox for watching YouTube.
Anyway, let's see what else.
So I might
go ahead.
I might start citing all that brain damage from lead poisoning as the foundation of my worldview. The next time a pre-supper asks him, like, brain damage is the foundation of my worldview.
That's right.
Brain damage from lead poisoning is the foundation of my worldview. The next time
what's happening there, Scott?
Somebody like, brain damage is the foundation of my worldview.
That's right. Sorry guys. I apologize.
I thought maybe Scott was clipping that because he's like, "This is gold. I want to be able to say this later on."
This is gold.
No, you were talking about splitting into two universes, right? Based on a decision, and for a while I thought maybe you'd done that.
The universe split right here. There it goes. Oh man! I hope it doesn't hit the mailman.
That goes from the prior universe. Yep.
As a result. Anyway, does anybody know JG? And does anybody know, like, he is a really good interrogator, right? But what the hell does he think?
Maynard saves.
Gold Jerry?
Jerry Seinfeld reference.
Oh,
sure.
Okay. Yeah, which I wouldn't get. Yeah, I'm too young to get that reference. Anyway, do you have any idea, James? I mean, you've talked to him a number of times. I mean, does he ever tip his cards and tell you what the fuck he thinks?
Like all pre-suppers, they are very.
He's here. So
who's here?
Yeah, JG. Censorship exists.
Oh, well, then you can ask him for himself.
Yeah, come on in. There's a link up there. You could come in and have a talk.
No, I wasn't going to try to represent your views, JG. I was going to explain that I don't know what your views are because you're very careful not to disclose them. Hello, Leo. How are you today? JG's an interesting character, says Leo.
I'm not sure if I could disagree with JG because I have no fucking idea what he thinks. But, very good interrogator, to draw out your ideas and stuff like that. And very calm and, respectful and Maybe a little over talky in a couple points, but other than that, pretty good. You did a good job. Can't come
Oh, he
in
can't.
right now, damn it.
Yeah.
Well, at least tell us what you are. I asked you what you are, and we determined that you were human. But other than that, I have no idea what you believe. And I'd kind of like to know where you're coming from a little bit, though. If you tip that card, that's going to change the nature of any further conversations. But goddamn, I hate to be the only one showing my cards. It's like I got my cards face up. Yours are all fucking, not only face down, but tucked into your underwear somewhere, and I can't fucking see them. And I another metaphor by Speed.
Another metaphor.
Yes.
Down with humans, says Nerdy Rodent. Down with humans. Sure, why not? So today we're going to be talking about the bad seed in the bad soil, or the good seed in the bad soil. Like what the hell's going on with that?
Yeah. So if I don't get the Christian message, then I'm bad soil, basically. And I'm bad soil because of I just want to sin. I want to be an atheist. I just want to run rampant through the universe, eating all the donuts. Is that
right?
Or I'm stubborn. I just reject it. I just don't see the truth in this impeccable presuppositional logic. That talks about God as if he's the cosmos and expects you to call him God instead of the cosmos. That's what presuppers do, right? Because anything presuppers say about God, you can say about the cosmos. Well, it just is. It always has been. It's timeless.
Right. The same as SpongeBob, the eternal hall monitor. He just is.
Yeah. Yep.
So it depends on, obviously it depends on which Christians you ask, right? Because they have different ideas about what sin is and about what we're being forgiven for or not. And so, like, for example, I have a relative who defines sin as anything contrary to or different than what Adam and Eve were intended for. So wearing shoes is a sin because they weren't designed to wear shoes. God didn't tell them that they can make shoes. God didn't tell them to wear shoes. They were made without shoes. Therefore, shoes are astray from the plan. Therefore, they are sin, even though you have good reasons to wear shoes. So it just really depends on which Christian you ask. So it's difficult because we talk about the things that we've heard before. There's always going to be a Christian in the channel or in the group or in the room that's going to say, that's not what we really believe. You are straw manning my beliefs. And what they don't get is that they are not the objective standard for what Christianity is or isn't, right? We're just addressing specific ideas that have been brought to us by random Christians that we've interacted with and heard from. And of course, there's always going to be a Christian in the room that has a different idea than the one we're presenting. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So if you ask Rebecca from Bread of Life, for example, and it took a long time to pull the pieces of her worldview out, right? Because she like most apologists plays it very close to the vest. They don't want to let you know what their beliefs are any more specifically than they must, because the less you know, the less you can criticize, right? And it keeps them in a position where they can just focus on your theoretical flaws or shortcomings, and then they can offer you a cure to those, right? For the religion. Right. So, according to her worldview, when it comes to this, if you hear the message, any message at all that's about the Jesus, any concept of Jesus, doesn't matter what one, and if you're a good person, you'll respond to that with wanting to hear more. Something about it will resonate with you as the truth. Wow, something about this seems right to me. Tell me more. And then that will fast track you into Christianity. Some version, any version, pick one, just hurry. This is Rebecca's worldview. And if the message doesn't resonate for you in that way, then it's because you're a bad person. You are bad soil. And the reason you're a bad person or bad soil for that seed is because at some point you woke up one day and said, you know what? I think I don't want to be all that loving or all that modest or all that humble or all that honest or whatever, right? Because there's a list of moral character traits, and one or more of those you decided to have an insufficient amount of, because what you wanted to do was be selfish. You want to be selfish and self-indulgent and rebellious, and so because you chose to be a bad person out of your free will to do so, that's what made you incompatible with the message. So when you finally hear it, it doesn't resonate for you. You're either disinterested, or you don't find it credible, you don't think it's logical, you don't think it's ethical, you don't find it compelling, whatever reason you might have on the forefront of your mind. The reason you don't find it compelling or logical or whatever is because you're a bad person. And the reason you're a bad person is because at some point you decided you were going to be a bad person out of your free will. And so that's why it's okay that God's going to throw you away like trash forever, because you chose to be trash, right? And that's your choice. And so that's how she kind of worked it out for herself. Now, you can run this idea past at random 100 Christians, and there are going to be some Christians in the room who object. They're going to say, that's not what we really think, right? Because that's literally what happens no matter what you say about Christianity, because they can't agree on what it is or what it's made of or what it all means, right? So here we are today to discuss what it means to be either a bad seed or bad soil. So what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, there's 26 seasons of South Park, and every single episode resonates with me.
even the explanation about evolution from the teacher.
Oh yeah,
on
and
the whiteboard.
the human centipede one particularly resonates with me. So
Nice.
yeah, so yeah, things that resonate with. Yeah, there's some truth in it, and it should resonate with you. And I think that's where I kind of confuse theists. You said, what did you say about me? I'd like to joke and tease with me, but he's almost a theist because he's so enamored, he's so awestruck and impressed and humbled.
Right. Right.
Well,
that was a cheap shot at my friend Mike, but I'd do it again in a minute.
That was a shot.
I'd do it again in a minute. No, I am not apologizing.
Anyway, but
Jay made a valid point about it. He's like, but that's a healthier way to be, to make peace with the universe as you know it, right? As you experience it,
right.
To try to find a way to make peace with it. And you're right. He's right. It's something you guys agree on. But like I said, I'm just too jaded. I'm just too cynical. And in that way, I guess I'm an asshole. And yeah, I admit that you're making peace with it is the healthier frame, right? I just can't. I just haven't been able to. So that's where we're at.
Well, you just don't want to, hear the message, James.
I just don't want to hear them. I mean, I've heard it. I just think it's shit.
Bad soil.
Right?
Bad soil. Yeah.
Right. And I feel the same way when a pantheist, right? Because pantheism, if you think about it, is really just sexed up atheism. It uses religious language, but it's not really appealing to the supernatural, or at least the common versions of it aren't. And so, when I hear that, it's like people. I'm great. I'm like happy for you. Like, yay, you think nature's wonderful. You've made peace with how awful it is, right? Because it's beautiful. And I'll say it again, it reminds me of my ex. Beautiful and has many fine qualities, and has their place in the world. And yet she'd lose no sleep at all over recycling you for plant food, right? Wouldn't phase her one bit. And she's very cutthroat in that way. So I may celebrate her finer qualities, but do I feel like a reverent regard for her to the point where I can't find any meaningful fault? No. I think she's awful, all right? But she's beautiful and she has qualities. Same thing about nature. Now, do I want to make peace with that in that way? And kind of I want to, but kind of I can't, right? And it's just, but it's not a moral failing that I can't. Like, I didn't wake up one day and decide that I'm going to not be able to make peace with nature, or not be able to make peace with the contradictions of my ex or anything else, right? It's just I try not to think about it because I'm critical. And that's just where I am about it. I'm just critical.
Yeah, what the hell? You can say that about donuts too. Donuts they're fucking taste good. They're just really yummy, but they'll kill you. But all things are that way. I'm sorry, all things are that way.
Yeah, even the air and the soil now, we're talking about lead. Like all of the lead that was put into the air from fuels that had lead in them have made it to where now the ground is so laced with lead that the crops we grow have lead in them. And this is,
Right.
and I found this out recently because I found an article about how there's the amount of lead that is in dark chocolate far exceeds the federal maximum allowance of lead in food. And then I found out that the reason is because it's hard to find any soil that isn't so contaminated with lead that you can properly grow a marketable crop of the cocoa beans to make the chocolate with.
Right.
And then apparently that's in like most of the foods that we eat now, including, and then it's even worse in the oceans, right? Like all the fish, all the contamination that's in the seafood. So like you can't win either way. So I don't know, bad soil. What are you gonna do? It's like if I'm bad soil, if then I'm just bad soil, right? It's the same thing with nature. Nature didn't get to choose to be contaminated, it got contaminated. I didn't choose to be a kind of a messed up person. That's just what happened to me, right? And I struggle against it. Like I don't want to have failings and faults, and I certainly don't want to be a problem for other people. And if there's a God, it's not like I'm trying to piss him off either, right? It's just, I have the feelings that I have. I struggle with it. And if anybody wants to help me, then help me, right? And if you don't, if you're like, you just want to sit from a distance and say, man, that James guy, he's bad seed or bad soil and jacked up, well, then you can do that too. And I'm okay with that. What are you
So
going to do?
Randolph Richardson, hello, and Dave, Captive Desk. I'm not sure if anybody else. I think Stephanie's here, but anyway, hi. Anyway, it seems like okay, like a lot of theists love to attack the negative, antinatalist atheist who just sees everything, yucky life or whatever, and my positivism and my almost theism confuses the fuck out of them. But I arrived at that from following naturalism way out there. I didn't just stop at naturalism. I kept going, and it's like, okay, so naturalism. So then what does that say about me? And it's like, okay, I live in this like scary fucking universe that's always trying to kill me, and it's like trying to stub my toe and fuck me up. But who the fuck cares about me? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, me is not the issue. The entire thing is just unfolding, and me doesn't, I mean, just because me is having a problem, fuck me. Enough about me. Let's look at the beauty of the whole, right? And I was talking to Bree on Hive Science about Gaia, and that's kind of what we were pointing out, is that we're just like appendages or a blooming flower, the human race, right? I mean, we happen to be there's a lot of us, and there are too many flowers, and we're taking up too much space. But
we're weeds.
Don't worry, the earth will correct that.
We are weeds in the
We're
garden.
weeds, and the earth will correct it. But I mean, that's not a dark view of humanity. That's just us being simply what we are. And I don't think. How do you think about population growth increase in the world over the past? And I think it's really fucked up. I think we ought to embrace abortion heavily. I mean, Jesus Christ, stop fucking multiplying the human beings. We got enough of us. Let's get back to about 3.5 billion, and then we can have a guaranteed income for everybody.
This is part of the problem I have with popular religions. This breeding contest, right? Because there's strength in numbers, and so their leaders create these religious excuses and these narrative justifications that are just creative works to be able to justify breeding like rabbits. And really, what it's about is power. Really, what it's about is strength in numbers, because it's not like the Catholic leaders, for example, really thinks that condoms are a bigger problem than AIDS, right? That are morally problematic. It's just that they know that if they say condoms are bad, and these people in these underprivileged countries breed a whole bunch of children, some of them will survive. And so that's all the more people that they can draw from to exploit and to control and to manipulate and use to shore up their power base, in the range of their influence, which further shores up their power. And all of it's about power and privilege. That's it, just an entitlement. But they couch these ideas in religious narratives in order to justify saying condoms are bad. And then, of course, they extended that beyond that. Birth control, all forms of birth control is bad. Even abstinence is bad. If you're married, you should be intentionally making babies like rabbits.
I wonder if it comes down to this simple, cynical approach. You could get $1 million by donations from 1 million people giving $1 at a time, or you could get $1 million from a rich person endowing you, with $1 million. So maybe on their deathbed they give a bit, or throughout their life giving $1 million ever so often. What if the Catholic Church just plays it both ways? They want people to have babies because, even though they're going to be poor and destitute, because sooner or later they're going to be able to give $1 or $2, or maybe even if they preach the message right, $5 at a time to the church. But then you also have the rich Catholics that are going to be able to endow all sorts of money and building programs to the church. So they're just getting the money from both ends, either through volume or through, large payments and endowments. So that's kind of cynical, but in in terms of natural selection, it just seems to work out that way.
Yeah. So imagine, I'm a admiral of a wooden ship, and I'm going out to attack the pirates, right, and take out the pirates, right. And I welcome aboard my ship 60 fine soldiers, and every soldier's life is precious. Every soldier is precious, and I want 60 people on my wooden ship. And then I think, wow, 60 people, that's good, but why not 120 people? And why don't I get 500 million people and put them on my ship? And then I'm going to go really kick these pirates' ass, right? Ship's going to sink. We're a sinking ship, people. Stop having fucking babies.
Right.
I mean, it's like, God, let's back it off. Let's fucking get right with Planned Parenthood and start making some fucking decisions for ourselves.
So was my proposal way too cynical?
No, I don't think it was cynical enough.
Really? I need to work on my cynicism?
Yeah, there's always room for more cynicism.
You need to work on that cynicism. We need more cynicism.
We do. So, yeah, I mean, it's a multifaceted endeavor for them, because the more people there are, not just the more people they can get, to work for them and give them small contributions, which add up. But of course, the more people there are that are suffering, the more millionaires you can go to, and the more agencies you can fund to solicit donations to quote unquote help the suffering poor people. But so you're making sure that there's as many suffering poor people as possible. So then you have a cause to get funds for, which most of which you put in your own pocket, and very little of it actually goes to the poor people that are suffering. And then in the meantime, with those poor people that are suffering and they're in these impoverished areas, they're going to be educationally impoverished as well, which increases the amount of people that will buy into your grift, that will buy into the whole Christian message, because they're educationally impoverished and don't understand how the world works, right? And so they buy into these supernatural narratives about their place in the world and how the world works. And so they'll subscribe to your religion because they don't know any better, because they didn't have access to proper education, because they were born and raised in a place that was too poor to provide the education that they needed. And that's not even the whole iceberg that we're talking about here. I don't know how deep we want to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, the whole thing is just, and this is one of the problems I have with Christianity, is it thrives off of suffering and confusion and ignorance and death. If we resolve these problems, it will not thrive. It will diminish. It will dissolve into nothing, because it's not needed anymore and it's not being empowered anymore. So it's very much like a cockroach religion, because it scurries around. And what's that?
It seems like all the depictions I see of Christianity, historically, right, all involve this long suffering, impoverished, fucking disease-ridden family, that's got Jesus, right? They look to the stars and say, oh, and you might mistake my positivism about the cosmos for that, but it's totally different than that. It's like, oh, I'm suffering, but Jesus has made a place for me in heaven, and I'm going there soon. But isn't that kind of like the Christianity is just like filthy with that idea of poverty. It's what you were saying, right? Poverty and suffering, and they need it, right? Because
they need it.
Yeah, that's all you fucking got. I mean, it's like, yeah.
They need something to rescue you from. They need people that are so emotionally overwhelmed and ignorant that they will grab onto any lifeline offered to them, right? And so, here's the thing: if
That's
Christianity,
what happened with Trump.
Yeah,
okay,
I can wait.
No, I just wanted to interject. That's what Trump did. He picked that class of people that were downtrodden and feeling fucking crazy about the government, and he picked them up and he won them over in his cult. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I just wanted to interject, and I didn't want to lose. I'm a little obsessive when I get a thought. I got to say it. So don't let that bother you, James. Okay,
fair,
go on.
Fair.
Go on, James.
So, if Christianity were the truth that it supposes itself to be, then it would have the greatest appeal to the people who are the most intelligent, who are the most emotionally mature, who are the most cognitively mature, who are the most socially mature, who are the most empowered, who are the most healthy. It would have the greatest appeal to those people, because those people would be able to see things for how they are. They would have the greatest cognitive abilities, the greatest rational faculties, the greatest emotional stability, so that they could be as reasonable about whatever it is that they're hearing, right? But instead, Christianity functions like a virus, and it has the greatest appeal to the people who are the weakest links and who are the most impaired. So the most emotionally overwhelmed, the most undereducated, the most uninformed, the most underdeveloped in terms of their social paradigm and how they relate to the world and how they relate to themselves. So it targets the vulnerable, which is why their PR campaigns are targeted on children, and they're targeted on people who are very poor and who are emotionally overwhelmed, right? Even the Ray Comfort gimmick that he runs on college campuses target vulnerabilities, emotional vulnerabilities, and lack of a mature and coherent sense of self. Like, he targets these people and preys upon that. Now, again, that is so telling that we shouldn't even need the rest of the discussions. And if you look at, even in science, the higher the tier a scientist is at in terms of their career, the higher the education level, and the more published they are, and the more established they are in the upper ranks, like in the Academy of Science, the less religious they are. And even that small, like 6 or 7% of those who consider themselves religious in the highest tier, they're not fundamentalist religious. They have an idea of God, for example. Maybe they pray or whatever, but they're not fundamentalist about it, right? And so, even where the religion still manages to persist in the upper ranks, it is a lesser extreme version of religion. It is not the fundamentalist apologetic stuff. That's not happening there at all. And even amongst philosophers, like professional philosophers, once you get to the upper ranks, there are zero personal God theists in that rank. It's just not a thing, right? And so what happens is the fundamentalists try to create their own philosophers to try to create the impression that the upper ranks of philosophy contain plenty of personal God theists and apologists, when really it doesn't. That's just an effect that they're trying to create by giving themselves credentials in order to shore up the bullshit that they were already sitting on. So, again, if it was real, if it was true, if it was legitimate, if it was rational, then it would appeal the most to rational people. If it was healthy, it would appeal the most to healthy people, right? And it has the opposite effect. So, they're talking about what kind of soil that seed grows in. Well, it doesn't grow in good soil. It only grows in insufficient soil. It doesn't grow in good soil. Good soil are people that are cognitively mature, socially mature, uh, stable in their lives, have great coping mechanisms, are very mature socially in how they relate to other people, that are just mentally balanced and well educated in their mind. That's good soil, and that's the soil it doesn't grow in, right? And so, statistically speaking, the better the soil in terms of rational metrics, the less chance personal God theism has a chance to grow. And when it does, it's less extreme than in the other end than what grows into bad soil. So,
Yeah, good
objectively,
vegetables grow in good soil, and
yeah.
like really good soil, and the weeds have a tough time competing with them. But you get bad soil and you got weeds all over the place. So
Yeah,
But
Skyworks 600 says religion thrives on spreading fear, doubt, and false mysticism.
yeah,
Right.
think about how you form a cult, right? I watched that documentary about a cult. Well, you find either a normal kid, with just normal life problems, or you find one that already has an issue, right? And
Mhm.
and then you come in, you start talking to them about their issue, and you magnify their issue in their mind, so they feel worse and worse about their issue. And then you offer to start helping them with their issue. But then, just in the middle of helping them, you reverse it and say, well, you have a sinful nature. It's your fault that you have this issue. And we have to get
Mm.
at that. And I'm going to help you get at that, right? So, that thing about original sin and a sinful nature, that's part of digging in the cult. Like, once you get the person across the threshold, you fucking hammer him on the head and convince him that he's too weak, too fucking defective to get better on his own, and you absolutely need Jesus to do it. The only fucking way you're going to get into the kingdom of heaven is to accept Jesus and praise Jesus and ask for his forgiveness, and there you got it. Does that make sense? Cult formation? I mean, you pick a person, you dig into their weakness, and then you convince them that it's their fault, and they need you to tell them how they can correct this fault they have in themselves. That's Christianity in a fucking nutshell. That's why I hate it.
Right. And really more like compensate than correct, right? Like you're always going to be this deficient person who doesn't even deserve to exist, but you can be forgiven for being this deficient person who doesn't even deserve to exist. Because that's how great Daddy is, right? He's willing to forgive you and love you anyways, despite the fact that you aren't even worthy of that love. This is literally what the word grace means in the offer of grace from Christianity. It is translated from a word that means undeserved kindness. That you don't deserve that kindness, or to even draw your next breath, but he's allowing you to anyways, right? That's how great he is. But then within the context of the narrative, that really doesn't make sense, because he arranged for us to be born this way and then needed to find some complicated, convoluted, irrational way to forgive us for being how he made us. Wouldn't it be him in that context that owes us the apology? Like, it's not like I would have chosen to be born with certain deficiencies and ignorances and proclivities. Like, I wouldn't have chosen that, right? And now I gotta like feel bad for the fact that I'm deficient and see myself in a horrifically self-abusive way, so that I can then ask to be forgiven for being worthless, so that then I can have worth because I'm now crutching my sense of validity and value in the approval of a father figure. How is that progress, and how is it even reasonable? It's not, but it does appeal to people that are that don't have a well-developed sense of self, and or they either feel empty or worse about what they are, and who just need to feel washed clean of it and validated by someone external to who they are. Please validate me. Please let me crutch my entire sense of worth on the approval of somebody whose opinion I value more than my own. And a father figure, yeah, that'll do it. Give me one of those, right? And so that's what Jehovah's Witnesses have. That's what Mormons have, and that's what Muslims have, and that's what Catholics have, and Protestants, and it's all just different versions of the same thing. A parental figure who you can crutch your sense of identity and worth on, because you're always going to feel like you're not worth anything on your own.
Yep.
But I don't have that problem. I did when I was younger, and I got past it. And once I got past it, once I developed an autonomous sense of value and worth and identity, the Christian message, all versions of it, became incompatible with that paradigm. There's no way to merge the two. And so this is why I think the solution, honestly, to curing religion in our society is to help people find a good, durable, sustainable, healthy appreciation and coherence about who they are in the world, to where their opinions of themselves are not contingent upon the opinions of anybody else, where they don't need a father to validate them, right? Where they don't want to shirk the responsibilities of their place in the world, and by scapegoating their shit onto a martyr. Right. So if we can create just that healthier paradigm, there will be no place for Christianity in that world.
Yep. It sucks.
Yeah, sorry. Like,
It
rant
sucks.
over, and yeah, it's dark, but it doesn't have to be dark, right? Because, and this is what I try to bring to the community, like, know your worth, discover your worth, and help other people do the same, right? And then it doesn't have to suck, right? we don't have to make peace with the false narrative. We have to outgrow the false narrative, and we can do that by making peace with ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about. It seems like with religion, they were the first marketers. It's a generated artificial sense of need that is developed. I need forgiveness. I need to purge my sins. I need to please a God. Whereas, like in marketing in the 20th century, or maybe even in the 19th century, we really didn't. There really wasn't a halitosis problem, but through proper advertising and marketing, they generated this sense that well, you need Listerine because there's this horrible halitosis problem, and you won't get that job, and people will shun you and talk about you behind your back, and so you get people buying Listerine, which was just kind of a fraud product. Same thing with toothpaste. We really don't need toothpaste. You just need to brush your teeth,
Right.
maybe with a little bit of baking soda or something to kind of, get the discolorizing, I forget the colorizing agents, off of them. And I believe, and I'm just trying to tickle my recollection here, that most of the flavor and stuff of the toothpaste is just to make it a more fun experience. But that, even toothpaste is a generated need, so to speak.
Looking up Andrew Murray. What was he? He dead.
Yeah, so he's a
Got
fundamentalist.
that from Nitty. Let's see, religious work in South Africa. He's a missionary. Death.
Mm-hmm.
He died 4 months before his 89th birthday. Let's see, works, divine. Okay, he wrote a bunch of, holy shit, he wrote a bunch of, what the? Holy fuck. He wrote a lot. Anyway.
Hey, I want to reach out to Randolph Richardson in the side chat real quick and get him to confirm whether or not this week is is it Theist Helpline weekend, or is that a week from Sunday? If he heard me, he's active, so maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
So we should probably put the link out there and pin it.
The link to this, to the Theist Helpline. Okay, I will put it out there. It would be nice to get some of these people commenting because they've been really active in the side chat. But I understand some folks are at places where they can't join us.
Right.
So,
and Nitty and Randolph are planning a stream together about some of this stuff.
Oh, they are? Okay. Let's see. Hang on a second here. Let's get that up there. And okay, the Theist Helpline will be next weekend. We run every fortnight. No, there's no such thing. Our schedule is here. And I will go ahead and put a link to that.
The fort and fortnight comes from like 14.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay with that. I thought it was like I thought you built a fort.
Well, it probably only takes 14 days to build a fort.
Okay.
The essential parts of the fort.
Yeah.
My ass.
That's the way I choose to see it.
Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to put Randolph's link in my description in case anybody ever reads my description. Of course they don't. And I'm a little bit bitter about that. I admit it. Have you noticed I'm bitter about that?
You seem bitter. Here's my question about all the propaganda. I'm sorry.
The other day we had 25 links. Did anybody read my description? No.
Well, it's out there for reference. That's what matters.
It is.
Speaking of reference, I did a search in YouTube for an author, and went to a 2018 interview on Digital Hammurabi, and I started realizing, hey, atheist YouTube is becoming a reference library, with all these interviews with people.
Right.
Trying to
Really
get
good one.
cool information.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to encourage everybody. I don't have the link because it just popped in my head. Go to last night's Gnostic Informant. He changed the name of it. At first, it was saying the castrating God the Father or something like that, but he changed it to proving that God has a penis. But it was a talk with Kip Davis and Pat Lowinger about the Isaiah 6:1 passage that Sentinel Apologetics has been kind of dragging, misrepresenting and dragging people around about. And it was just such a great example of a word study and finding out the reasons for coming to certain in interpretations or translations. And Pat Lowinger did a similar study using like the Latin Vulgate, like the oldest version of the Latin Vulgate we have, and then looking at how various early English translations of the Bible handled Isaiah 6:1, and even that shed light on what a legitimate likely interpretation of that as God, God's junk, God's dangly bits, God's penis, how that kind of interpretation has validity to it. Is it 100% certain? No, because the translation of the word is that particular word and its usage isn't 100% certain, but it certainly is not a fringe position to say that. And it was just a brilliant example of great scholarly digging into ancient texts that just about anybody could actually emulate, but you get there quicker and with much more confidence with people like Dr. Kip Davis and Pat Lowinger along.
Right, and Dr. Karakuni is great for that. So is Francesca Stavrokopoulou. So,
Karakuni, I think, is going to be on Myth Vision here pretty soon, right?
Yeah, she's coming up again. She just did something, but yeah.
Yeah, she. I listened to her books on Audible, and they're just very interesting and entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, they are. And Nitty has a point. Practice safe texts.
There we go. Let's please do that.
Having unprotected texts.
You need to protect those texts.
A really good thing to do would be to go over one of Randolph Richardson's streams, fortnightly streams on, and I mean, there's a lot of material in those things, right?
Oh, there is.
Presenting to a bunch of atheists. And we should get on that. We should get on that someday.
Yeah, we should.
Dave.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, sir?
Hello, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I saw the dangly bits thing. It was pretty good.
They renamed it from Dangly Bits to something else, or what was it originally named?
Everybody was making dangly
Castration
bits
of God the
jokes
Father or something like that was the original one.
Yeah, there was. I don't know what the final title ended up being, but yeah, everybody was making a lot
God
of.
God really has a penis.
A lot of jokes. Yeah.
I'm going to link your channel again in my description just for the hell of it, in case somebody actually reads my fucking description. Anyway,
I linked Answers in Atheism on my page because Deconverted Man was giving me a hard time that my page wasn't filled out well. So,
thank you.
You and James are both added on my page there, and
I appreciate that.
I was trying to fill it in a little bit. So,
yeah,
my channel, I should say, my channel.
You should drop a link to your channel in case anybody here isn't subbed yet.
I have a link right here, Andy. I have it handy.
Thanks to the Afro Atheist, I hit 117.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, Esther's great. I love Esther.
Cool. I think we're hovering at between 603 and 605 now as a result of me begging on Bree's channel.
Mrs. Desk was number 604.
Really? Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm
Finally
hovering
made
around
it.
one. Go ahead.
I couldn't make it over 600 for like months and months. I think it was like since November or something. I don't know. So we had 9 below this morning, and we got like 14 inches of snow. So I'm like,
Wow.
I'm never going outside again.
It was 60 degrees here yesterday, and today's 30.
God damn. Yeah, it got cold down south all of a sudden. It was really hot, and then I think this whole thing pushed further south, and it's all Canada's fault. Okay, I keep telling people.
Yeah,
You
just
think
2 or 3
Canada's-
days ago, Texas was at 85 degrees. And then
Okay.
like today, it's like 42, which is obviously warm compared to where Vesta Freya is and where you are.
If you want a meteorologist that's fun to watch, Ryan Hall, y'all, on YouTube.
Ryan
And he
Hall.
was talking about the polar vortex is spinning in one direction, but then it's going to start spinning the other, and then the cold's going to drop down, and we're still going to get some winter here in March. But yeah, Ryan Hall, y'all.
Ryan Hall, y'all.
Ryan Hall,
Ryan
y'all. And
Hall.
he sends out storm chasers and everything. It's if there's storms out, he goes live. He has storm chasers out and everything. It's pretty neat. He's an independent meteorologist, so support him.
Nice.
Well, now I'm going to have to. I take it that's the YouTube channel.
Yep, it's called Ryan Hall, y'all. Just like it sounds. Ryan Hall, y'all.
There it is.
There it is. Yep.
There it is.
And he does some fun things. He sells his measuring sticks, and people send in pictures when it snows of how much snow, and he gives away prizes and everything. It's a neat little show.
Cool. Linked in
He's
the
got
description.
1.1 million subscribers.
Yep.
All right, I'm subscribing. Let the entertainment begin.
Yeah, he doesn't make light of bad situations, but there's the lightheartedness of the whole show, so.
This is nuts.
He looks.
Yep,
he looks like
Ryan.
he looks like my cousin, and that's my cousin's name. So now I'm wondering if it's the same guy, like Ryan Hall. I
Your
gotta
cousin?
find out. Yeah, I got
Well-
a cousin named Ryan Hall it looks just like this guy, and I gotta find out if it's him or not.
That would be neat.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Definitely need to find out. That way he could drop your channel's name and our channel's name.
Oh, I haven't talked to
Me
them.
too.
I haven't talked to them since they were little, but yeah.
He does a good job. He explains, what the different, the jet stream and the polar vortex and, how all the things interact, and so you go, oh, okay, that's why it's doing that. And so, yeah, I like watching him. So yeah, check it out.
Nice.
I know people that have moved away from Texas and moved out of the South because of tornadoes. They just are, so afraid of tornadoes. And they are awful. I mean, that feeling of, God
no
playing
defense.
Russian roulette with your house and your home.
In Texas, you guys aren't very big on basements, right? So you don't have a lot of basements to hide.
We have
in?
no basements.
Yeah, because you don't have a furnace, right? Like in
Right, no
Minnesota,
furnace.
everybody has to have a basement with a big honking furnace in it. So
Are homes mostly dug into hills? I mean, do you just dig a hole for a basement in Texas? I mean, if you really wanted one, or are they built?
They sell the little shelters now too, Scott. It's a preform deal. You just dig the
Yeah.
hole. It's got
My
the little hatch on it and
ex-brother-in-law would sell these shelters that you would actually dig into into like your driveway or in your garage, and then that way you don't have to run across the back 40 to get to it or whatever.
Right.
We had a storm cellar when I was growing up that snakes would get into it. My dad never would fix the door or whatever. But
that'd be a fun surprise in the middle of the night when you're diving.
when it's emergency and we go down. Yeah.
Well, if I moved out of Texas, it would be because of those fucking snakes. It's like, when I was there last year in November, they were telling me, I was saying, well, how do you walk in the woods? And they look at me in astonishment and said, you don't walk in the woods. Fucking rattlesnake will get you. At least in the area of Texas I was, around Pflugerville, probably northeast of Boston. I guess there's snakes everywhere. It's like, do something about that. Jesus, Texans, what the fuck?
That's why when people tell me you need to move south and everything, and I was like, I'd like to be warmer, but Northwest Ohio is pretty stable. I mean,
yeah,
we don't have a bunch of nasty critters. We don't have a bunch of nasty weather. The ground doesn't move. There's no tidal waves, So
yeah. The bear and the moose take a few humans every year, but other than that, we're okay. And occasionally one of the white-tailed deer will take out a human. But other than that, raccoons never take us out, and I don't know, no alligators.
And most of our big storms go across the lake over to Buffalo and everything, and Cleveland and everything. So
I got a feeling Minneapolis.
It's not bad here.
Minneapolis is going to start seeing more and more tornadoes. With the way the weather's, how strange the weather is, the patterns are so different that and so unpredictable. I got a feeling that we're going to be seeing some bad shit out here.
Well, because of the valley we're in too, we miss a lot of those too. They come up through Indiana, they hit Fort Wayne and everything, and then they go right up into Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's the ones we get here. It's usually a small one, and like that hit my buddy's neighborhood the one year. A couple trees got knocked over, and then it's gone. So.
Yeah, I live right by the Minnesota River Valley, and actually, like when people 2 miles north of me are getting like crazy rain and storms and wind, it's calm here. It's like it doesn't seem to hit us often, so we're a little bit protected. The real problem that we got is if this fucking river valley sets on fire, our house is toast. There ain't nothing we can do. There's trees right up to it.
We always have the problem like when the spin goes, and then usually what dumps on Cleveland or Buffalo spins right back around and comes back on us. But that's only in the certain years, again, with the jet streams just right and everything and stuff. So once in a blue moon we have a big nasty storm here. Otherwise, we've only had a couple inches of snow here all winter. So
yeah.
There's nothing more fun and entertaining than watching on the satellite, on the TV, our radar images, a tornado coming in from the west, and there's a kind of a fork about 6 or 7 miles west of where I'm at, and if it goes one way, well, my neighborhood's in danger and, run for cover. If it goes slightly north of that location, it hits the north side of town, and we don't have to worry about it as much. It's like literally God, rolling a bowling ball, and based on, whatever random factors, it's gonna kill you or it's gonna kill people north of you. It's like being in a shooting, a shooting range.
Yep. Randolph noticed my drawing. Thank you, Randolph.
Is that a cell?
Huh?
Is that a cell? Oh.
No, it's a diagram of reality.
Oh.
Just reality.
No wonder
my
brain is so messed up.
That artistic talent is blowing me away.
Oh, yeah, I'm really good at this shit, man.
It looks like mine.
Yeah.
It looks like a fried egg with maybe the blue stuff. The blue lines are cheese or something. I don't know. Blue cheese on top. I don't know.
Well, I was on James' channel yesterday talking to JG about physicalism and how I derive it, and he kept going back to, well, you can't prove physicalism with empiricism. Well, empiricism is basically so tied into physicalism, and you can't get outside of it. So you can't get outside of it to prove it, right? So what we're stuck with is we're in this the gold colored circle here, basically, where empiricism ends, right? The only thing we can do, I mean, you can't prove empiricism with empiricism. You can't prove physicalism with, fucking empiricism, because we're stuck in this bubble, right? But then one must ask oneself, if all there is the physical, then how can you be expected to get outside of it and prove it unless there's a supernatural, right? So if there is no supernatural, then you're stuck in this bubble. And it is perfectly valid to take all of the information. It's called found herentism, basically. All of the information with this bubble meshes together, and you can never get anything from outside that bubble, right? You never get any supernatural events that we know. There's just nothing else. So it is not a invalid conclusion to say that's all there is physical, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Like when we start out as zygotes, we're right here, right in the middle, and then it's empiricism basically teaches us the world, right? And then when we're fully formed adults, every single adult in the world behaves in this ring right here, which I call R1, which is common sense naturalism. And I don't like, if a philosopher is talking to you about idealism or solipsism or some fucking bizarre meta model that he's come up with, he must admit that he behaves every day of his life as if naturalism is true. So if you do that, how much of a further step is it to say, well, naturalism is true? Everybody does it, right? They wouldn't be arguing with you if they thought naturalism wasn't true, because they'd say words to you and the words would transfer across space and they would like disintegrate and you wouldn't understand them, because naturalism isn't true and there's no patterns, no laws, right? So anyway, that's kind of the bait. So he kept dragging me back to, well, you can't prove it. And I kept saying, okay, prove is not a good word. That's for mathematics. You prove things with mathematics. And even mathematical systems, according to Gödel's there's no sign. Yeah, there is a sign of Gödel's incompleteness there. Any algorithm.
Don't say that 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, no. Any axiomatic system in mathematics, okay, you cannot prove all of the truths within that framework without going outside of that framework. And that's just the way it is. But what if there is no fucking outside physicalism? There is nothing else but the cosmos. Well, we're stuck within this thing, just accepting it, because that's all there is. That's all we've ever seen. That's all that ever impinges upon us. So that's what the diagram.
Is it possible to have a degree in mathematics or whatever and not have heard of Gödel's incompleteness theorem?
I don't think so.
Now, here I go again. Does this person that we're kind of referring to without talking about have a degree in mathematics? Is it applied mathematics or applied physics?
I think he was an engineer, so he probably mostly math classes, right?
Oh, well, we don't need to spend any time on it. It just when you mentioned Gödel, it just was like, it is strange that that he hasn't heard of or dealt with that theorem. But that's just a side thought, and everybody went quiet.
Oh, well, I went quiet because I had to mute myself because my son was asking me something.
Oh,
so
tell your son hi for me now.
I will. He wants me to help him with something, so I'll probably have to go here in a minute. But
okay.
Me, I'm never out of something to say as long as it's in the domain of what I can comment on, right? So if we get deep into the weeds with physics or deep into the weeds with cosmology or evolution, I can't.
You're so sweet.
But anything other than
Well,
that, if it's not too deep.
I agree with the Buddha, and Mike probably knows too, that anything supernatural or gods or anything else, Siddhartha said, whether they exist or not, it doesn't change the reality.
All right.
So if you believe in a god or if you don't believe in a god, you're still going to have good days and bad days. Some people are going to get sick. Some people are not going to get sick. And it doesn't really matter what you believe. It doesn't change reality. So,
right. Now,
Well,
some people draw. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Yeah, I do have to go in a moment, but some people draw comforts from it, right? So their religion or the religious narrative helps them in some way, and they might say, "Well, then in that way, it changes my reality." But my point for that always is, I'll just grant that. But there are people in this world that don't have that, and they have other coping mechanisms, right? They have other sources of things like hope and meaning and purpose and connection and other narratives to build with, and they do just fine, right? So you're using a thing for utility's sake, but other people do fine without that and have other things they can use for it. So really, the only issue is, do you want to buy some afterlife insurance, right? And all the different religions are selling their own version. None of their versions apply to all the other versions. They're unique to their version for the most part. And so it just doesn't matter, right? Like if you're just betting on this random idea that there's some kind of afterlife and that they're going to sell you some insurance to, it's ridiculous. So yeah, it doesn't affect anything. If there's a god or there's not a god. And deists will admit that openly, right? Like the deist will say, yeah, I think there's a god, but so what? Go live your life, right? So, and I think that's like the most reasonable kind of theism that there is. But I love you guys. I love these discussions, and I'm gonna run. But if you guys are still going when I get back, which probably not, because it's probably coming up on Mike's nap time. But if you guys are still going when I get back,
What's happening? Is everybody bailing or what?
I have to.
Well, James,
really?
we appreciate you being here. It's always a pleasure and always an honor to have you grace our internets.
Thank you, Scott. I love all you guys.
All right. Talk to you later, James.
All right, I'll be back. If you guys happen to be running later, I'll jump in, but it probably won't be. So
we're not going to be running for more than about 5 minutes, I don't think. So
that's fair.
See ya, buddy.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
To kind of provide an opposite view of what James was sharing and really what you were sharing, Dave. There are strains of Christianity out there, very prominent around here, that do not share that idea. Like the Buddha said, like part of it is apparently living your life and expressing faith in such a way so as to quote unquote have God's favor. And that can be very dangerous because like in the case of this one family that I knew of years ago, the husband, for whatever reason, had been wanting to join a police force somewhere around here. I don't know if he'd had whatever training, but apparently that's not really a requirement much anymore. But he had some gang activity in his past, and that was keeping him from joining a lot of these police forces around the area, all the little different towns we have around here. And at some point, the wife had gotten upset about it, that she was at the school where my ex-wife worked and was crying and just kind of going, we don't have God's favor. God doesn't favor us. And so this roadblock that they were running into in their career aspirations for the husband was that God must have, God doesn't like me anymore, or God doesn't favor me anymore. I'm on the outside looking in to God's kingdom here. Maybe not in terms of salvation, but in terms of your goals and aspirations for your life. And I thought that was really sad.
That is such a goddamn ancient view of such a tribal view of things, isn't it? God's not favoring me. That's why my crops aren't growing.
And I almost wonder if she was some sort of word of faith kind of believer, which is, the scam that you speak certain realities, you pray certain realities, and you believe,
Right.
you believe. And by the way, you give money, seed money, and then you'll have God's favor and be showered with blessings and whatever you want and everything. But that's not that uncommon. There's a lot of charismatic groups around that dabble in that area of thinking.
And
Yeah.
it's
That's why
it's hits and misses. It's the same old, I think Mike Shermer did a thing on it that whether you believe or not, if you pray or not, your odds of surviving, a risky surgery or anything else is 50-50 like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why when I had kidney cancer, and I think it was Rebecca asked if she could pray for me. I said, no, you can't. Because number one, who the fuck am I to ask
Right.
that my cancer gets cured, right? And number two, the Mayo is taking care of it. So it's like, no, you can't pray.
Yeah, that's the thing. If a God is out there actually curing, you, while how many others, oh well, then that's what good is it? That's Jesus cured a blind person. Okay, did he cure all the blind people? No, just Joe over here, but everybody else, they stayed blind. Well, you had the ability to heal the blind. Everybody.
Yeah, and why wasn't she praying?
Person.
Yeah, why wasn't she going to pray anyway? I mean, was it like a public thing that she wanted to do, like pray for you on air?
Yeah, she wanted to do it on air. But, if she had said, can I pray for a child to survive instead of you? I would have agreed to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would just always say, you're free to pray, anywhere and any time. So sure, go ahead, but I don't want to participate in the performance.
Yeah, it isn't because, I'm down on prayer and down on religion. It's because like, why should I pray for me, right? Like, that is against my thinking. And that part is what offends me. If you pray for me to get over my little little roadblocks in life, fuck you. Go pray for somebody else. And then I'm with you. If you want to lend whatever your supernatural belief is to some child, who's dying of cancer, do that. Don't fucking pray for me.
That's why I say, if you're going to pray for the children's wards to be empty tomorrow. And if I wake up tomorrow and all the little boys and girls are doing a happy little dance and they're skipping right out of the children's ward because the doctors can't figure out why, but they're all better, I'll go to whatever church, temple, mosque, or anything else that you subscribe to that you prayed through. But tell me about it. And I want to do a video about this too. That, if you're going to predict that something's going to happen, let's write it down. Tell me about it. Let's document it.
Yeah.
And let's see if it happens.
Yeah. If the last breath I took was watching a bunch of kids doing a happy dance because they all recovered from cancer, that would be just fucking ideal.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah. That would be all right.
And that would be the thing. Not that, I prayed for so-and-so, that's why they got better. No. I want you to, right now, like the old, where you hold the newspaper up with the date on it,
Mm-hmm.
And you say, here's the newspaper, okay? Now, tomorrow or next Tuesday or next month or next year, because we're holding up the newspaper, Bobby is going to be cured at, XYZ hospital. He's going to do a happy dance right out of there, and the doctors are all going to be scratching their heads. Write it down.
Yeah.
But when you do that, they're not going to, everybody gets real quiet because they just want to deal with the hits and the misses. They want to find somebody that, the doctors are scratching their heads. It must be a miracle. Meanwhile, how many got buried? You leave that part out.
What fucking kills me is when Sal Cordova's having internet issues or something. He said, Jesus, please solve our technical problems that we may preach the word of God. And like he prays for his fucking, his YouTube channel to work. I mean, that is offensive to me. I don't know.
It is kind of funny when the believers are having technical issues.
Yeah, and they pray about it. It's like, no, fucking make an appointment at an Apple store. Don't pray about it.
Turn it off and turn it back on again.
And
here's 90% of your ales.
What offends
That's
me is
why
this
my
idea
Chrome
that,
hasn't died on me yet. I had to restart it.
Yeah, I've got a quick little
Jesus,
story.
Scott.
I got a quick little story.
Praise the Lord.
When I was a technician, just to show up was $80, right? So I had this customer paging me. Yeah, this was when we still had pagers. Paging me. I just got this machine and it won't work. Not very happy, right? And he probably spent a couple $100,000 on this machine, so it's understandable why he's not happy. It's not working. So I showed up. I turned it off. I turned it back on again. There you go. Everything works just fine. $80, please, plus travel time, because
Yeah,
I was out of my area. He was not very happy. He said,
Reboot
this. And I said, well, sir, here's your manual. And in the troubleshooting, you know what the first thing says?
Turn it
off and turn it back on again. Yeah. Here's your manual, sir. You gotta read it.
Yeah, when I was in electronics school, they were still fixing TVs. So we had a quarter where they showed us how to fix TVs. So the first thing you do is you walk up to it and give it a good slap up the side of the fucking, the cabinet. You just hit it and see what happens. First step in a really, high price night.
Shake all the oxides off of the vacuum tubes and.
Yeah,
I had a car when I was a teenager. And it had some problem in the ignition, and I literally would have to pound on it like 3 times, pound on the side of the steering wheel, and then the car would start. Happened every time I got in the car. Eventually I got it fixed, but sometimes you just have to teach it who's boss.
My first car, the choke didn't work, so we had to pop the hood, stick a screwdriver in the butterfly, get it started. Every morning at 7:30 before we'd go to school, me and my buddies out there getting the old beast fired up. But it was freedom. It was once you got it started. Once you got it started, we had freedom. Oh yeah, $200 car.
Let's see. Oh, I'm returning an item. Will we talk? Should I buy Snack another 100 springs? Because he's lost most of them.
Well, is the joy you got from watching him play with them greater than the cost of actually getting them for him again?
$10.99. Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Well, then that said, unless they pose some sort of infection hazard if you step on them or something.
No. I'm good with having the floor covered with springs because he plays soccer with them, and it's amazing how good.
Are they like multicolor or just these?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're 5 different colors. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe I'll get some for my grandsons.
Yep.
Ours likes the little furry balls. She knocks them around, chases them all around the house until it gets lost somewhere, and I don't know where they all are. We got to have 50 of them lost somewhere under the furniture and stuff. So, yeah, I bought her a whole bag. So I just throw another one out. She's happy for a few minutes.
Keep Snack happy.
It's about the only toy she likes. We've tried all the toys, and the only thing she likes is they're like the little pom-poms, That's the only thing she likes.
Snack plays with almost every toy that I've ever bought my cats, and it's absolutely amazing. The other cats, we bought them like hundreds of dollars worth of toys, and I looked at them and was like, nah, not interesting. Snack plays with every fucking one of them, and he is he just keeps the joy that keeps on giving.
My dogs
other
love
hand,
their toys.
Yeah. Oh, dogs do. Yeah, they're a simple formula. Cats are like, nah, that's not interesting to me. It's like fuck you, you little shit.
For the old timers, I've got Gumbies and Mr. Bills for my dogs. They love them. The Mr.
Yep.
Bill, when you squeeze it instead of squeaking, it says, "Oh no!"
Oh,
My one dog loves it. The other one's terrified of it. So the other one has a Gumby.
you've seen the flopping fish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Snack loves that damn thing. He just loves it.
We got the remote control mouse that runs around.
Yeah.
And the cat took one look at it, and the dogs wanted to chew it up. So that was the end of that. So we tried the thing too with the it's got like the piece of material over it, and the stick spins around under it with the ball on it. Yeah,
Yep.
cat didn't care for that either. So
Yeah. Randolph did a community page, and wow, we're listed on his community page. Oh, thank you, Randolph. God damn, that's probably going to help. Nice. Oh,
he does his little shows every once in a while too, where he goes through people's channels and everything. And I've been trying to drop the hint to add me to the list, Randolph. But yeah, he reviews people's channels and he looks over them, and yeah, kind of like what Deconverted Man was telling me, that oh, fill in this and fill in that, and tips on how to make your channel a little more presentable and everything. So I don't know when his next one is. I haven't seen it, but
okay. I'm up to 2 relatives that need me to call them back, and one of them that I know is melting down. So gonna have to shoot her in the head, guys.
Yeah, you don't want a melted relative all over the place.
Yeah, I think my niece is melting down a little bit. She broke her ankle the other day or something, or bowling. She tripped on some little dinosaur thing that kids use to throw the ball. I don't know what the hell that is, but anyway, it almost killed my niece. It's like, God damn it. Anyway, thank you very much, Randolph. That is I appreciate
Randolph's
that.
a class act. Yeah, we certainly appreciate that.
Yep. Okay,
well,
guys.
Randolph, I actually roll my butt out of bed and get motivated on Sunday mornings when he's on. So yeah, it's a good show to check out.
Okay, boys and girls, we're gonna shoot her in the head.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Randolph.
Thank you all for being out there. Okay.
Randolph said he's going to put me on the list. So
yes,
appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Maybe I'll get the 700 subs. If I don't get the 700 subs by next Christmas, I'm going to die of a broken heart. I want everybody to know that. So anyway.
Well, Mrs. Desk and Desk Junior both subscribed to you the other day. So
good. Thank you.
I put the word out and they said, click, click, click. So
pushed me over 600 and for the first time in ever. So I appreciate it.
Woohoo.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys. Good talking to you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great weekend.
Goodbye.